Hi, my name is Steven and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking to you about how to reduce stress on the cheap. Tips to not overspend and relax. Are you stressed but don't know how to relax without spending a lot of money? Well, this video is for you. I'm going to go through some of my tips on reducing stress on the cheap. We are entering a period of time in which traditional methods of relieving stress might be too expensive for the average consumer. Things such as traveling, going out to events, and spending on our vices might not be an option for us on the cheap. But there are other ways to mitigate stress without spending a lot of money. These are much simpler tips, but they can result in you feeling much happier about your current self. And the best part is, once you implement them, you'll be able to consistently use them throughout your life, because they can consistently return stress-reducing benefits to you. So here are some ways you can de-stress on the cheap. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about my background, cheap stress-relieving tips, and my general thoughts. And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share with your friends, hit that notification bell if you like this content. And here we go. So my life is pretty hectic at the moment, and I'm always on the go, jumping from one thing to the next thing. And I'm always under some kind of intense high pressure situation in which I need to have stress relief. And with that being said, my stress and anxiety levels always tend to be quite high for the things that I'm doing. To mitigate this, I implement various different stress relieving activities to help me relax and do it for cheap. Prior to the pandemic, I would blow off steam by going to massages, going on travel, or hanging out with friends. Now, due to rising costs, I have to find other ways that are cheaper to mitigate stress. In my research, I found that holistically, some of the simplest forms of stress relief are often the best forms. And it's things that you could do on a daily basis, so it doesn't really interfere with your life, and they're cheap. And the best part about it is that if you make it into a habit, you can consistently do that particular thing and relieve stress along the way in your life. But to get to that point, you do really need to know what your body likes, and also there are some upfront costs to it. But once you're able to implement it, you'll be able to get the benefits from it continuously. So here are my tips on cheap stress relief. Number 1, optimize sleeping. One of the best ways to relieve stress on a day-to-day basis is to get good sleep. It is often the most important and underrated aspect of your day-to-day life. But it has to be emphasized because most of us don't get the proper amount of sleep or are comfortable during our sleep. Getting good sleep helps you to recover your body, relax more, and also gives you more energy during the next day. Here are some of the ways I optimize my sleep. Getting blackout curtains and eliminating all light that comes through my window during my sleep. This is helpful for me to stay asleep longer, especially during those early morning days. And because I live in the Pacific Northwest, the sun rises a lot earlier during the day, so it really helps to block out that light. The other thing that helps me get good sleep is a 2 to 3 inch foam mattress topper for your bed. I have found out that the mattress topper helps me to relax and sink into the bed like a cloud. It was really a game changer for me to sleep on that mattress topper. I never felt so relaxed in my life. And I always use earplugs and eye mask when I go to sleep. This means that if there's any additional noise and sound coming in the bedroom, I can still stay asleep. And I'm able to sleep much longer than I would otherwise without the eye mask and earplugs. And then lastly, find the optimum temperature that you're comfortable with during your sleep. I found that the perfect temperature for me to go to sleep is 68 degrees Fahrenheit and not much cooler than that. You might have to do some work to find out your optimum temperature, but once you do, try to keep that consistent within your sleep. This helps you to get adjusted to sleeping faster and longer. The key with these tips is to find the right condition that suits your need to get your optimum sleep. For me, a good night's rest helps me feel relaxed and rested for the next day. And it really helps me to relieve some of the stress that accumulated during the day. Now, some of these things will have an upfront cost attached to it, like the foam mattress topper, earplugs, or blackout curtains. But once you purchase them, they can last you a very long time and you'll really be glad that you did. I'll put some links down in the description box below of things that I use to get optimized sleep. So optimizing your sleep is one of the best ways to get cheap stress relief. Number 2, showering with style. Another thing that's really cheap that helped me boost my mood and relieve stress is taking a hot shower. Specifically, taking a hot shower with a high pressure shower head. For people that are really relaxed by a hot shower, this is one of the easiest ways to relieve your stress. All it takes is for me to jump in the hot shower, and 5 minutes later with that high pressure water, it relieves and melts my stress. I'll put a link down in the description box below of the shower head that I use to get high pressure water. Note that you do need to remove an O-ring that's stuck in the shower head to prevent you from overusing water. But once you remove it, you'll be glad you did because that high pressure water will be like heaven. And another thing to note that you will consume higher volumes of water because of this shower head. But I do think that if you do the cost benefit analysis, you will find it worth it to take that hot shower to relieve your stress. It's far cheaper than a 90-minute massage. And another aspect is to have showers or baths sprinkled throughout your day to relax at certain points of that particular day. This is dedicated time for you to unwind and relax during a set period of time. So if hot water relaxes you, then this is definitely the way to go and relax on the cheap. And high pressure water for me is definitely the key for me to relax. So if you can't afford the increase in your water bill, then this tip is definitely the way to go. Number 3, spacing out in nature. So if you've been following my channel and watching my previous videos, I'm a big believer in spending time in nature. Nature can be a very restorative place in a chaotic and complex world. As part of my daily routine, I usually take a 30-minute walk in a nearby park just to relax and reset. It allows me to break up my day and gather my thoughts for the future. It can be incredibly relaxing just to stare off in nature and to have your mind wander. When you are stressed, the best thing to do is to leave that stressful environment and to space out and relax somewhere in nature. Because nature is where we are truly in our element, not in an office space or in a work environment. I would say if you have the opportunity to incorporate nature in your daily life, do so. Even if it's a quick 5-minute walk around nature, being in a different environment will help you relieve stress. The key really is to get away from that stressful environment to reset and relax. Check out my previous video where I go into more detail about how I relax in the park. So for a really cheap stress relief, go out in nature and relax and reset yourself. Number 4, remove stressors in your life. One tip that doesn't really require any money is to reduce as much stressors as you can in your life. Because in the end, that's what's causing you to need stress relief in the first place. Now there may be some stresses that you can't remove in your life, like stresses caused from work. But you can look around for low-hanging fruit, the stuff that's causing you low stress in your life, and get rid of them. For example, if you have toxic friends in your life, then seeing less of them might help you reduce stress. Or looking around the house and fixing things that's causing you a little stress by having them not be fixed. Or having an open and honest conversation about people within your life that's bothering you or causing you some kind of issue. And getting to the root of the issue so both of you can resolve it to reduce your stress. If we focus on eliminating the stressors within our lives, then we need less stress mitigation in the future. And that means we won't have to spend money on reducing stress by some other means. In the past, I've spent a lot of money trying to reduce stress after the fact, but not trying to prevent the stress in the first place. And the thing was, I always needed more stress relief because I didn't get to the root of the issue. But once I was able to understand what was causing my stress and eliminate it, I was much better off for it. So I suggest looking into your life and identifying the things that are causing you stress and trying to find the root cause of it. And then work towards getting rid of that stressor so you don't have to worry about it later down in life. That way you won't need to spend money on combating a problem that wasn't there to begin with in the first place. Number 5, get exercising. Getting outside in the sun and exercising is one of the best ways to relieve stress on the cheap. When you work out and exercise, you release endorphins and your mood is much better for it. And once you work out, you get fatigued and you'll be able to sleep for longer during the night. And exercising, especially out in the sun, will get you that vitamin D and get some fresh air into your lungs. Any stress that you're currently feeling will be mitigated when you go out and exercise your body. It may seem a little bit obvious, but exercising is really a good way to try to mitigate stress. As much as I hate to say it, I have not been good with keeping up my exercising during the pandemic. But I do try to go outside, get in the sun, take a hike, do some yoga, and run whenever I can. And doing so has always helped me to feel better after I exercised. Depending on what you can do right now, you can do as little or as much exercising as you possibly can. The key is to go out and do something. And the beauty of this is you don't need a lot of money to get your body moving. So get moving, exercise, and you'll knock that stress out in no time. So here are my general thoughts on relieving stress on the cheap. So mitigating or relieving stress on the cheap isn't really that hard. You just need to be creative with it. Generally, stress is caused by all sorts of things around you during your daily life. And if we could really understand the day-to-day causes of our root stress, we can tackle it very creatively. Just know that you have to understand what kind of stress relief mechanisms work for you and your body. And if you can, create an environment where if you can't remove that stressor, then provide you some time during that day to be in a stress-free environment. Because if we can't tackle the stress at its root, then we have to have buffer zones within each of our days to have a stress-free environment for ourselves to rest and relax. This will at least give us some time and separation from what's causing our stress in the first place. And this buffer zone could be taking a nap, stepping into a hot shower, or taking a nice walk. So there isn't a magic bullet for this. You just have to figure out what's causing the stress and what stress relief mechanism will work best for you and then try it out. And once you found what works for you, try to see if you can implement it as a daily habit within your life. So those are my tips on de-stressing on the cheap. Although in present society we have found many ways to rest and relax, not all these options can be done cheaply. And not everyone can access these resources or use them frequently in their lives. But there are cheap methods of relieving stress that you can implement without spending a lot of money. And they will, on a whole, be just as effective if you implement them as a daily habit. For me, once I was able to implement these tips, I've been gaining benefits from this every single day of my life. And I love these type of activities where I can optimize and figure out what's a cheap method to get the best bang for my buck. So try some of my tips out and see if they work for you to relieve your stress. If not, then try to find the root cause of that stress and see if you can eliminate or mitigate what's causing your stress. So thank you for watching. Please leave me a comment down below on what's your favorite way to de-stress and why would you recommend it. And I'll see you next time.